Peace, family. Peace, 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 peace. All right. I hope you guys are having a phenomenal day. If not, do understand and get is going to get better once your perception gets better. So today's video is about co-parenting. Okay. Now, this is my first merry-go-round when it comes to co-parenting. So some of you guys know I have 4 children, and my 2 oldest children, their fathers was in their lives because they was in and out of prison. Okay, so when it comes to my 2 youngest children, me and they dad, we have a court order arrangement, where as though he picked the children up, for a certain amount of days out of the week, and I have, our children for a certain amount of days. One of the things I'm going to say when it comes to co-parenting, what I see in my life and what is very, very effective, honey, I'm speaking from my experience, okay? If you are having sex with your children's father, to me, I think that's probably, or your baby mama, to me, I think that's probably, it kind of clouds the relationship when it comes to co-parenting. And the reason being is because when y'all engage into sexual activities, one person may take things like, a certain type of way, whether they may feel, that they obligated to do certain things. Honey, show up at your house any time of the night. Okay. And when you're not having those relationships with them, there's not like feelings involved, right? So you're not operating based upon, feelings or being emotional when it comes to, you and that person, your children. So another thing is I highly recommend not talking bad about the other parent in front of the children. Now, honey, okay, you got to be mindful what you give energy to, it grows, okay? What I see in my life is I have to have boundaries, okay? And it's not only for pertaining to co-parenting, it's just boundaries. Like whenever someone comes into my life, I have to let them know what my boundaries are, because it allows people to know how they are to show up in your life, okay? And in the past, okay, because I never was taught about boundaries, but now I know, okay? So since you know better, honey, you're going to start doing better. You have to have boundaries. One, like I said, it shows the other parent how to, maneuver, okay, in your life. 2, the reason why you have boundaries is because it's a reflection of self-esteem, okay? My youngest children's father, I would tell him, drop the children off at a certain time. And what I noticed was he would drop the children off at whatever time he wanted to. And at first, I would be really upset, okay? But what I noticed was he's doing this because of when I tell him to drop the children off at a certain time and he dropped them off later, I open the door. Prime example, say if our children have to be to school by 8:30. Now, if he dropped the children off after 8:30, that's no longer my responsibility. That's his, because he know what time our children have to be to school. Sometimes when you co-parenting, you can see some inconsistencies, like probably with the other parent or maybe even with yourself, right? Like for me, I see inconsistencies with my boundaries. And the reason being is because sometimes I'm like, well, I want our children. I don't want our children to feel a certain way about me. If I don't open the door and, he bring them to the house. Say, for instance, he dropped our children off on Monday and it's after 8:30 and the children banging on the door, right? Our children banging on the door. Sometimes I say, well, I'm going to open the door because, I don't want our children to feel a certain type of way. But then it would be other times where so I'm like, I'm not going to open the door because so your parents and co-parent, you have to be consistent. And that's with any form, any area of your life. Because let me tell you something. This is what I noticed, okay? The way you do one thing, that's how you do everything, okay? You cannot focus on what that other parent do. That ain't your business, okay? Now, if it's endangering the child, that's something completely different. But if it's something like they dropping the children off plate or whatever it is like that, or, they not doing certain things, when your children, this is what I got. When your children leave your house, right, because it's court ordered, or maybe y'all done set up an arrangement. When they leave your house, that's the other parent's responsibility to take care of your children. The other parent's responsibility. Before, I felt like I needed to be so much in control. He ain't gonna wash them like the way I wash them. Or he may not wash them. Or he may not do this. Or he may not do that. He may not do that. I had to start saying, you know what? What he do when our children is with him, he's a grown man, okay? He know right from wrong, okay? That's what I had to start saying. I had to start giving up the control. And it's funny because I like to say that the universe, sometimes it gives you certain things so you could work on certain areas of your life. Like I said, my two oldest children, I was pretty much in control of pretty much everything because their dads wasn't in their lives. But with my two youngest children, their father is in their lives. So it allowed me to start surrendering. It allowed me to start creating boundaries. It allowed me to start letting people know and him know that this will not be tolerated. Okay. Also, when you create those boundaries, because like I said, consistency is a must. You have to stick to it. Okay, you have to stick to it. You have to, no matter what, you have to stick to it. Before, what I would tend to do was when my youngest children father would call me and he would say, now it would be on his day, okay, say Friday. Now he's supposed to pick our children up from school, drop them off to school, and pick them up from school. What I would tend to do if he called me, right, I would answer the phone. And then he'd say something like, well, could you pick the children up? I'm not going to be able to pick them up. And what I would do was I would pick them up, okay? And what that had allowed was for some time, he started feeling like, well, every time when I decide, I don't want to pick them up today, I'm going to just call her so she could pick them up. What I had to start understanding was he know he have to pick our children up on Fridays. So what I started doing, if you don't have the nerve to say no, honey, don't answer the phone. Okay, don't answer it when they call. Don't answer the phone when they call. If it's around the time when the children need to be picked up, don't answer it because you already know that they finna ask you to pick the children up. Now, I know for some that may be hard because some people may be like, no, but those much. Let me tell you something. The more you keep on allowing this, okay, for the person to do whatever it is that they want to do in your life, they're going to keep on doing it. We show people how to treat us. So you're going to have to say no. You're going to have to exercise your no. Sometimes I would be like, no, but, I don't want him to be upset. Or, I don't want him putting somebody else on a pedestal. I don't want him, I want the children to know. Because what if he tell the children that I'm there, or he say something bad about me in front of the children? I ain't got nothing to do with that. You ain't got nothing to do with that. You know what's going on. So you have to start looking at your life like you matter. You have to start looking at your life like your time matter. I remember I was listening to Miss Iyanla Vanzant on Spotify. And she has a show called The R Spot. And it was a young lady who had called in and wanted advice about her child's father, because her child's father he was an alcoholic. And the child father wanted to pick, his daughter up, their daughter. And one of the things that Miss Iyanla Vanzant said was, if the father and he's an alcoholic, and you know this, maybe it's best to supervise him because he has an illness, okay? And you don't want to put your child in danger, especially when you know he's an alcoholic, right? She also said, because the young lady was going on and saying, that her child's father, he could be very nasty, like over the phone and stuff like that. This is what I know. You have to have boundaries, okay? And who taught me this? Somewhat my youngest children's father, because back in the day when I would call him, honey, I would call him and be cussing at him. Honey, this was before I started doing some of the work on myself, okay? And I would call him and I would curse him, and what he would do was he would hang up. And that taught me, like, and so he started doing it. And now what I do now, when, if I call him and I'm, telling him like, listen, this not working between my schedule or whatever it is, you got to be more mindful. What if he start cussing or whatever, I hang up and then I block him. Okay. Oftentimes if he hang up and I didn't get my point across, because you also got to understand this, okay, that you want to release that energy. So what I do, I send him a text message on how I feel. When you start doing the work on yourself, they will get better. Now I know, I can hear, what you mean when I start doing the work on myself, they will get better. Because it's like you're not giving that thing energy any longer. You're not keep on reiterating yourself. And let me tell you this, if you keep on repeating yourself over and over and over and over again, your words, they done lost their power. Okay? Because most likely the reason why you keep repeating yourself over and over and over again is because you done went off your words so many darn times. So that's why you got to keep repeating yourself. You said one time. They heard you. Now, whether they gonna move a core into what you done say and believe what you say, oftentimes they may not, because honey, you may have went off your word several times, because I used to be going off my word a lot of times, and then he would feel like, well, I could do whatever, because she ain't gonna stick to it. So you got to stick to your word. You got to stick, even, you like, my children, you got to stick to your word. You say you ain't going to pick them children up when they in his kids. Stick to your word. Stick to your word. Unless it's like emergency. But if it's just them, the other parent calling you at last minute, oh, could you go? So I hope you guys got something from this. Make sure you guys comment, like, subscribe. Also understand that it's going to get better. Co-parenting is a beautiful thing when two parents are in cooperation with what's best for the children. It's a beautiful thing. Maybe in the beginning it may have started off rocky. you could only see what your part was in the whole situation. And if you change your part, that other person, they'll change. Okay? They'll change. Because you ain't gonna be catering and you ain't gonna be doing the things that, that you once used to do. Because by you picking up their slack, they never gonna do it. If you keep on picking up somebody else's slack, why would they wanna step in and do their part if you keep on picking up their slack? And I'm talking about like if it's co-parenting, okay? I'm gonna share a story with you guys. I know I said I'll talk to you guys later, but listen to this. Where I live, right, we supposed to pull a garbage to the front. Me and my neighbors. What I started seeing was, now when I first moved into the apartment, okay, the previous owner of this house had said that my neighbors was to pull the garbage up, but then someone else brought the house, okay. And later on, that person said, well, you responsible for your trash, and the people downstairs responsible for their trash, right? What I noticed was sometimes when I would pull the trash up, the neighbors wouldn't pull it up, right? So what I started doing was pulling all the trash up, okay? And a part of me had mixed emotions, like, well, I live here, and this the trash from them, the trash from my house. So let me pull all the trash up, okay? But what I stopped doing was I stopped doing it because I said if I keep doing it, then they will never do it. So sometimes you have to stop wanting to be the hero and stop caring about how the outside see you or see whatever it is and start thinking about how you see you. Okay? As I would say things like, oh, well, when people walk past, they see the trash and, all these different things. I'm just responsible for, my part. And if I feel like pulling it, then I'll pull it. But if I don't feel like, then I won't. But do what's best for you. Do what works for you, your part. That's the only thing you are in control of is your perception. That's it. Change your perception. Everything else is going to change. And with that being said, I love you guys. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.